Let's bring in for more expertise on this Gil Kerlikowske. He's the retired commissioner of Customs and Border Protection. He also was chief of police both in Buffalo, New York, and in Seattle. A man with deep experience. Thank you so much for being with us, Chief. Just talk a little, if you can, about what we've been saying here and elaborate, if you will, what you know about protocols and guidelines and how they may or may not have been followed based on what you see in that video.
Well, take it back to the bigger picture. Clearly, the Border Patrol is the absolute wrong unit to be bringing into any city environment. Secretary Ridge, Secretary Chertoff, we've all remarked about this, whether it was in Portland and certainly now. They're trained to work on the border. They're trained to work by themselves. That's their experience. They're not trained to work in an urban environment. And as you've already mentioned, a city police officer knows that you don't get in front of or behind a vehicle. You don't attempt to stick your hands in the window or open a car door. You would do exactly as you had mentioned. You have the tag number. You could figure this out. And you've already got cars on the street if that's what your intent is, to arrest her. So no, this was foreseeable because we saw their actions and tactics in Los Angeles. We saw their tactics in Chicago and now here in Minneapolis.
So, Commissioner, obviously, let's again say that we don't know everything that led to this moment. But what, as you draw upon your decades of experience here, how should something like this have gone down? Not just the confrontation, but what led up to the confrontation. There seems to be almost a very confrontational, if you will, attitude from these ICE agents, from these Border Patrol agents who are taking the lead in so many of these cities. You know, that they seem to be antagonistic. How should something like this, a stop with some protests, how should this have been handled?
So the protocol would be that you don't engage with a group of protesters, that you end up getting the tag number, you leave the area. It can only lead to bad problems. And city police officers with years of experience working in an urban environment understand that completely. Their lack of training and lack of experience in policing what it can be a very difficult place, any urban setting, as I was in Seattle or even Buffalo, shows that this is clearly wrong. But we've also seen a level of aggressiveness that's unprecedented. It's almost a level of cruelty. It's a level, if you were a football player, you'd be charged with taunting.
Yeah, and you talk about the level of aggressiveness, also something I've never seen in law enforcement, where a woman has been shot and is either dying or already dead, and the law enforcement officers aggressively stop any medical aid from reaching the automobile where the woman is bleeding out and dead. I wanted to ask you, comment on that, if you will, but also comment on the second and third shots, it appears, the second and third shots, where the ICE shooter is at the side of the automobile and is shooting at the woman's head at point blank range. Could you tell us, with your collective knowledge, if someone that was working in one of your departments or someone working in the New York City Police Department had fired 2 shots at the head of a car going by at, say, 5 miles an hour, would they most likely be reprimanded or even charged?
Well, I think you'd want to do, as Tom Homan said, and I worked with Tom for many years, do an investigation. The concern I have, of course, is the quality of the investigation. You know, the one DOJ official that told Commander Bovino that he should obey the law, a U.S. attorney in California, was fired 6 hours after telling him that. So I would be very skeptical of the quality of the investigation and at least the oversight of what's going to come. But you're exactly right. I mean, to continue to fire after the vehicle is clearly not attempting to run over anybody. Now you have a 4,000-pound unguided missile, and fortunately, there were no people on the sidewalk. There were no people in the vehicles that she hit. But you can only imagine what other kinds of harm could have occurred.
Mr. Commissioner, final thoughts for us.
Well, I think that we need to recognize that this is an untrained, unskilled, unexperienced, and I don't blame these agents. I know a lot of these agents. I know that their morale is in the pits, and they would do anything possible to avoid being assigned to some of these details. What we need to realize it is the leadership, whether it's Secretary Noem, President Trump, or Stephen Miller, et cetera, Corey Lewandowski, who are all in charge of doing this. And it is not the fault of many of these agents.
But that said, though, you did say most of these agents, in your mind, are untrained, unskilled, ill-prepared for the urban challenges they're facing every day, right?
That's exactly right. That isn't where your training is for the Border Patrol. That isn't where you work in a rugged environment such as the border. And now you're being thrust into Portland or Los Angeles or Chicago or Minneapolis. And that isn't the kind of experience that you have.
Retired Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Gil Kurlikowski. Thank you so much for your insights this morning. We appreciate it.